Hi, everyone. It is Deep Dive for our new series called Healthy. This is week number 1. And I want to start with a verse for you and then just give you a few thoughts that are going to lead into our top 10 symptoms of unhealthy spirituality. And so let me start with this verse. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. So what this verse is telling us is that you're made in God's image, and this speaks to the complexity of your creation. I'll talk a little bit more about that in this next week's message. It's why you have so much value and worth. See, humanity is the crown of God's creation. So in this new series called Healthy, we're dealing with our tendency to try and ignore the complexity of who we are. So say you meet someone who has lost an arm. And when you see them, the impairment is obvious. The truth is, though, emotional underdevelopment or impairment is not so obvious. In fact, some who are emotionally underdeveloped don't even know it themselves. And so as I mentioned in the message this past week, you cannot separate emotional and spiritual health. They're intrinsically linked. So what I want to do right now is offer you a look into what you may not automatically notice as emotionally and spiritually unhealthy. And I'm going to give you the top 10 symptoms of emotionally unhealthy spirituality according to Peter Scazzaro. And as I do, why don't you just assess where these symptoms might be present in you, and that will lead you into a great discussion with your small group, okay? So here we go. I'm going to hit you hard and fast. The first one is this: using God to run from God. So that statement alone seems a little bit difficult to discern, but basically what I'm talking about here and what the book refers to is how easy it is to spiritualize our strong opinions, right? That we can use verses to validate our sharp edges and our deficits. And this, to me, is a real issue for us. It lies under the surface, and we've got to be honest about it if it's there. Number 2, ignoring anger, sadness, and fear. You see, many Christians believe that their emotions are their enemy and that they don't have permission to express their feelings. They feel like their feelings are actually the problem, and so they ignore them. Number 3, dying to the wrong things. You see, we all know that we are to die to unhealthy desires. But many Christians think that they have to die to every desire. All earthly desires are to be killed. Even our desires for things that are wonderful, such as friendship and joy and art and music and beauty, recreation, even laughter. There's this sense that all of that can be made wrong. Number 4, denying the impact of the past on the present. You see, those who suffer with this unhealthy symptom would suggest that as a Christian, I'm a new creation, and that's true. The problem is you can be under a delusion that because you accepted Jesus, your old life is no longer in you. Your painful past, listen, must be healed, not ignored. It's true, when you become a new creation in Christ, you come under Christ's redemption and his redemptive work for you, but you're still you, and you have to work toward healing. Number 5, dividing life into secular and sacred. Now, this symptom is something that can be incredibly, incredibly challenging for us. It's easy to make compartments, and this means that you relegate God to Christian activities, such as church or small group, or not really allowing God to penetrate all the other areas. You kind of keep him in the Christian box, but you don't allow God to affect your marriage or how you discipline your children or how you spend your money. And so you create secular and sacred compartments. Number 6, doing for God instead of being with God. And that's really what this last message was all about on Sunday. I spent lots of time here, but let me just remind you that you cannot do for God until you learn to be with him. That's key. Number 7, spiritualizing away conflict. Okay, now, many Christians see conflict as something to be avoided. But in order to avoid it, we do very unhealthy things, such as we gossip, say one thing to someone's face and another thing behind their back. We lie. We blame. We attack. We write emails with subtle criticism. We go silent. We break relationship, and so on. Number 8, covering over brokenness, weakness, and failure. You see, we hide because we feel that imperfections are unchristian. And so we cover over these areas and don't allow the healing power of Jesus to reach them. Number 9, living without limits. You see, many live very discouraged, disengaged, and isolated because they feel that they have no limits to the expectations they put on themselves and that they think God expects the same from them. So they live under this heavy weight of expectation, and so as a result, they suffer. And then finally, number 10, judging other people's spiritual journey. It is so much easier to dispense advice or point out the wrongdoing of others than it is to deal with our own shortcomings. So those are the top 10 symptoms of unhealthy emotional spirituality. So here's what I want you to do now. I want you to take some time in your small group and through the questions and cover some of this material. There's a lot to discuss here, but I think you can have a really great time in your small group. And maybe you're watching this and you're by yourself. We decided to make this material available to everyone. I want you to reflect. Maybe you can write some notes, but I also want you to try to find someone to talk to about this because it's really, really important. Okay, God bless you, and we'll see you soon.